right, good morning, everybody. Let's call this meeting to order. It's a little past 8:30 a.m. This is the Legislative and Human Resources Committee, and our first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment? Seeing none. Our next item is number 2, approval of the minutes. Hope you all had a chance to review the minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by everyone. I think that was Commissioner LeGrand that I heard first, and then support by Commissioner Burrow. All right, any questions, comments, changes to the minutes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Our next item comes from the Administrator's Office, the Board of Commissioners, and Corporate Counsel. We have the Performance Measurements Review from Al Vanderberg. I think this is your first review here, Al.
Yes.
Looking forward to hearing it.
I put them together many moons ago, but this is the first time I presented these. Okay, so Administrator's Office Performance Measurement Review. Okay. So this presentation will include the following 6 areas. So we have alignment with board priorities, department strategic goals, Kent County Strategic Plan key performance metrics, Kent County Department key performance metrics, significant accomplishments, and a look ahead. What we do in the Administrator's Office: we implement board policy, we prepare annual budget recommendations, we develop procedures and implement policies. We provide legal counsel, conduct program, departmental, and management analyses, communicate with internal and external stakeholders. We coordinate the board's agendas, legislative, fiscal, and other work sessions and other meetings, and provide general administrative support. So the department's strategic goals are a pathway to fulfill Kent County's strategic plan. Our department's strategic goals support the county strategic plan in the following ways. We communicate consistently with internal stakeholders to increase awareness and understanding of the county's operations and programs and services and their value. We encourage and foster strategic public-private, intergovernmental, and interdepartmental collaborations and partnerships. We maintain the long-term financial health of the county while supporting effective programs and services. Also this year, kind of a new role, I think, County Administrator's Office facilitated the strategic plan process. And these are key metrics that are captured by the staff that support the board. We are trending well in citizen board applications, even though that's a system that we do believe needs some improvement. Timely posting of agendas and minutes for standing committees and subcommittees. And we also saw a slight increase in board resolutions in 2020. Another area of focus is communication, communication and transparency. The county stakeholder email distribution list was created this year, well, actually enhanced. One of the early things I did was to ask each of our department heads to provide a list of their important contacts and their important stakeholders. We ended up with a list of over 80,000. Also, ARPA, Congress enacted the American Rescue Plan in 2021 to provide $350 billion to eligible governments to respond to COVID-19. Kent County was awarded $127.6 million. The board allocated $10 million of these funds for emerging immediate needs, and then of course the additional amount for sheriff overtime last week. And the board received a memo last Friday proposing the next steps in a process to gather community input and make more decisions about ARPA spending. I do think we're on track as I survey what's happening around the country. 2022 budget. The board unanimously passed a structurally balanced fiscal year 2022 budget in November. The total budget was $527 million and included $454.8 million for operating expenditures. Of that, about $16.7 million was set aside for capital improvements. Some of the notable capital improvement projects included the development of Wellfield Park North, restroom upgrades throughout our park system for year-round use, improvements to the sheriff's training facility, and implementation of a card access system at the correctional facility to improve security. Of course, I was hired. Thanks for putting that on there. Parks. So expansion of county parklands is obviously a key long-term objective of the county. I remember when I worked for the county the first time, the county had finished an estimate of how many acres of land is necessary for a population the size of Kent County. I'll really be interested to match that up. I haven't yet, as far as where are we at with acreage and what did we project 20 years ago because of the rapid growth of Kent County. Chief Hazy Cloud Park will be a 395-acre natural preserve that will include woods, wetlands, and 3 miles of frontage on the Grand River, and also allow for future trail expansion to connect multiple communities. A master plan process will continue to give the community an opportunity to provide feedback on the development of the park. Also, Commissioner's Tree Grove at Millennium Park. The Commissioner's Tree Grove at Millennium was established in 2020 and unveiled in 2021 with the help of our County Parks Department and the Parks Foundation as a way to honor the service of former commissioners. Airport, the board did approve a significant bond over $93 million for the expansion of the Concourse A at the airport to add new gates and concessions. This is expected to accommodate projected passenger growth over the next 20 years. In September, the board approved although it's not the only thing that will be needed to support passenger growth, I should say. I think there will also be a proposed expansion of Concourse B, probably not too far off in the future. And the board did approve, as I said, revenue bonds to finance these capital improvements. Mental health services. So in the area of behavioral health, a partnership with key stakeholders to implement the county's first behavioral health crisis system resulted in Mercy Health St. Mary's and Network 180 preparing to open a crisis center this year. We're working hard to get the funding for that. In Grand Rapids for people who need immediate behavioral health care. You can see the organizations represented on the slide.
Hey, Al, can you pull your mic a little bit closer?
Oh, yes. Gosh, my wife tells me I'm way too loud. Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Other work on behavioral health included establishment of a substance use disorder engagement center at Mel Trotter Ministries, attention to mobile crisis services through a partnership with Network 180, the Kent County Sheriff's Office, and Grand Rapids Police Department. And plans are to expand the mobile teams to fully meet the needs of the populations through other partner police agencies. Hope Network worked with Network 180 on plans to open a peer respite facility this year. It will be the first peer respite facility in Michigan and will provide a home-like environment operated by peers. Some of our successes and legislative priorities include $2 million in one-time money for the Secondary Road Patrol Grant Program to compensate for lost revenue due to the pandemic, bringing total support to the program at $15 million. $14.8 million in county jail reimbursement program and agreement to remove language that bars reimbursement for any county that enacts or enforces any law or ordinance concerning the immigration status of an individual. $2 million for local conservation district operational support with an additional $1 million in one-time funding for fiscal year 22, and $2.1 million increase to fully fund PILT payments. There was money for PFAS, 14.5, and 29.1 for Raise the Age, which covers costs outside of the child care fund for the whole change with 17-year-olds. The West Michigan Vaccine Clinic. So 1,250 volunteers served more than 2,500 hours. And again, a partnership with our major health providers, Spectrum, Mercy Health, St. Mary's, and the Health Department supplied over 2,000 paid colleagues to work at the clinic. This was a response for a major need to vaccinate as many people as possible and help get our local economy back on track after record job and business losses. It was one of the most collaborative partnerships that occurred, and it was right here in Kent County, hosted right across the street, of course, at the convention facility. A partnership between the Health Department, Spectrum, and Mercy resulted in one of the largest vaccination locations in the entire nation. A look ahead had some of the things, just a few of the things we're working on, but we've got building projects underway, constructing a North County campus, and that'll house the Sheriff North Substation, North County Health Clinic, and also have some hoteling space for other service provision. And then also the Parks Administration Building is nearing completion. The steel's on the way, I hear. We've heard that many times, but we do believe the steel to complete the facility is on the way. It looks phenomenal. We'd love to have some sort of meeting out there just to show it off. Obviously, they'll do some kind of opening reception, but it really looks, it'll be a great facility. And then also, we're in the planning process for beginning the fleet services replacement. Obviously, the board just last week improved an increase for that project. And also, we're still working on the branding campaign. We actually had a great survey response. Lori and the communications team sent out a survey in late 2021 that generated more than 6,000 responses and really helped with information that helped us understand more of how people view Kent County, the place and the governmental institution. And so that was all fed into a process of design. And actually, after this meeting is the first chance, one of three, for commissioners to view the three recommended brands and make some notes. And then there will be 2 more sessions like that before the next step in the process. They like to do it this way just to get initial reactions to the proposed brands. A big topic and issue and effort for us over the next year will be developing and executing the board's American Rescue Plan Act funding allocations, tracking, monitoring, reporting, and community engagement. Guidehouse has already been a huge help to us in those efforts. We continue to hear that, in fact, when we made some legislative stops last week in Lansing, it was really emphasized how hard the back end of this is going to be, that we really need to make sure that we're spending the money appropriately and that we watch that back end process that will probably start in full in 2027. So we're getting valuable input there. Also, the broadband subcommittee. Recently, a decision was made to have both a policy and technical group, and some folks have been invited to kind of fill out that policy subcommittee, and we're very close to signing with a consultant to look around the county to really determine where the gaps are, where the need is, try to get as granular as we can to make sure that we have solid information and can make wise decisions with allocating money for that and building partnerships with other local governments, providers in the state, and who knows, whoever else would like to put money into that effort. I know that private and nonprofit sector would also see some major benefit from us having really good broadband throughout Kent County. Also, Kent County Parks, the county is exploring through the grant application the board approved, bringing Cannonsburg into the parks portfolio, and then also there's just some major efforts underway that we partner in, such as the DGRI work. I serve on their board and the Grand River Inc. board, but just to kind of focus on trail links and extending the Greenway to Lowell. And I think that will be a major focus of a lot of different partners over the next few years. Organizational improvement. We will soon be presenting, plan to have a work session soon to talk about the 6 C's organizational improvement program that will include customer service, creativity, communication, cultural intelligence, competency, and collaboration. And then we'll also talk, I plan to present soon also on administrator's office restructuring and other initiatives that tie into specifically administrator's office, but also kind of our go-forward strategy to take Kent County to the next level organizationally. Also, we're planning to review the board subcommittee appointment process. We'll work with board leadership to develop a new streamlined, well-defined process for resident appointments to boards and subcommittees. And then as far as strategic plan update, we're looking at a couple different strategies. We'll keep doing the annual event like we did recently. That really helps us in each year what the board would like us to move the dial on in the overall framework of the strategic plan. And we're meeting with Rebecca Ryan over Zoom soon, who's a national expert. I've heard speak many times, does futuring type projects. We heard it from Tim Raz at the board meeting just last week, but really there's so much change in so many sectors right now that it might be a great time to step back and work with our partners and stakeholders to develop kind of that vision of where we want Kent County in 2050 or whatever date we pick, and then our strategic planning efforts can move towards that North Star in the future. So that'll be something that we would also cover, I think, in the work session on organization and strategy and that type of thing. So also very soon we'll be refreshing the employee and board of commission surveys. I did employee surveys in Ottawa County every other year, and on the off year from that we did citizen surveys. We have great tools now with Qualtrics and Zen City to where we can do some of those more point-in-time surveys with Qualtrics and more of an ongoing real-time look at what people are thinking about Kent County and the services we provide through Zen City. But the communication team will revamp the surveys and obviously use these to help make sure that we're in sync and we know where gaps are in our communication with the public, and can work to make sure we do our very best to communicate with the board and the public. And then also, we're also working with the current vendor we have for the performance management program. We need to make sure that it continues to meet the needs of our county departments, offices, and stakeholders, and also the board. It's quite a bit different than it was when I left it many moons ago. I think it's become something it's done almost entirely by our 2 management analysts. Before it was more distributed. The system we're using right now is a little bit difficult, but I think they're really committed to making it better. They're working with staff to do that. So hopefully when I give this report next year, I can say, yeah, they really came to bat. They really wanted to keep us as a client. We've got a great system and people can use it. I do think it's a valuable function because it's a chance for the people who you fund to provide county services to report back on how we're doing, how we're making an impact, and what that looks like in numbers. So that will be an important initiative over the next year. And that's all I have, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Al. Thanks so much for the information. Does anyone have questions for Al regarding the presentation? Questions or comments? Commissioner Skaggs.
Thank you. Just a couple of things, Al, that I just hope you can elaborate more on. And that is just, some of the timing on the crisis center, maybe just walk us through.
Sure.
to.
Sure,
that
yeah.
will help.
Be happy to. So the Crisis Center, right now, there's two ways that folks can get crisis mental health care. One is you go to an emergency room. Number two is you go to a jail. And as an aside, if your police agency brings them to an emergency room, the downside for you is that your officer has to stay there in the hospital until that person clears. And so for many agencies, that means bringing someone in on overtime to cover a shift, if they're a medium or smaller sized agency. So it has ripple effects even in the operations and costs beyond what most people might think. So the Crisis Center would be a 24-hour secure facility where anyone in crisis can be brought, regardless of their insurance, whether it be private pay, whether it be no insurance, whether it be Medicaid. Regardless, they have a place to go, and they'd be triaged when they get there. And one path is to spend, it could be just a few hours to a few days, and then you're back in the community taking part in your normal activities. The other path could be one where you're there for maybe even a month, and then maybe you're then sent to a different kind of care facility for further treatment. So I think the big difference is it's a one-stop shop for anybody that's in mental health crisis. And our partners, our hospital partners, have been very supportive because of how it can alleviate some of the stress that they have in their emergency rooms from working with this population. And obviously it's a big boon to law enforcement as well. And it just gets people care faster with less red tape, and it can get them right to a healing process much quicker. So that, yeah.
So that'll be open to law enforcement, and it'll be open to self-referral as well?
Yeah, it's anybody in mental health crisis, yes.
Okay, and then the mobile units?
Mobile units, yes. So last year was kind of a beta year, 2021, for GRPD and for the Sheriff's Office. They've had great success with the mobile unit. I know that Network 180 is looking to expand that team and ultimately work with other law enforcement agencies in the county. Obviously, the sheriff covers a huge amount of the county, and then GRPD is also a huge police department. But we do have many other police departments throughout the county, and the idea would be over time to be able to make sure that everybody has that service available regardless of where you're at in the county.
That's great. I was talking to one of our state senators last night about this very issue, and she said that our sheriff's program was being used as a model in Lansing, and so as they talked about programs and funding, so I don't know if that's on our legislative agenda. I can't recall, but it certainly would be something that we may want to ask for funds for.
Yeah, that is on the agenda. The main thing has been the Crisis Center, but that is also a conversation we've had as well. The other thing I should mention in this area is the 988 call center, so the National Suicide Hotline. Kent County was also a beta site for that last year. And our legislative approach on this has been, obviously we'd love to see it continued, and it will be. But I think even more importantly, the sheriff has told us that one of the problems with it is if you're on a 988 call, say for 5 minutes, and then you get transferred over to the sheriff, you start all over again. You don't get the benefit of a hot transfer. You literally start from scratch, getting the person's name and all that. So the idea would be to have a real-time transfer so that you can just pick up where the call left off and keep rolling. And so that's something we've advocated hard for. And everybody says they hear us, and so we hope that is in the works, that ultimately when that's finally rolled out, that you'll be able to have those live transfers. On the aligning with national standards, yeah, we're all about that. Love to do that. You brought up the example of parks. I do know there was a national standard that was based on. I can't tell you what it was. We did the same thing in Ottawa County, but there is like a national professional standard for how many acres a city, a county, a township should have based on population and other factors. If I remember right, it was about 7,700 acres, or somewhere in that range. But what made me a little suspicious is it was the same thing for Ottawa. And so population growth happened really crazy in both Ottawa and Kent. So I think I just want to figure out, you know, where we are today. Has that changed based on the growth of Kent County? Has the growth, I think the growth has exceeded what we projected it would be 20 years ago. But then in a whole range of areas. I was on a team the state had through Treasury for about 5 years that was trying to do performance measurements statewide for cities, townships, and counties. And there were representatives of each on this board in Lansing. It was really hard going because governments do so many things differently. The International City County Management Association does have a benchmark index for certain services. And then you have the complexity that Michigan County government is one of 11 in the nation. 11 states in the nation kind of use what was called the New York model, and then it was amended in 1967 after the Supreme Court decided the one man, one vote rule, which changes from a Board of Supervisors form to a commission form. And all that to say that if I go to most other states, counties are more like big cities that also do human services and courts. Like if you go to, you know, Indiana or Florida or other places, here it's different. Cities do distinctly different things than most counties. There are some areas of overlap. So all that to say, I think we almost have to just go to different organizations and different measures and piece together our own format that we can back with sites on where we get those standards and what they are. There isn't like a one place, especially because of the more unique nature of governments in the 11, the Northwest Ordinance, plus a couple others. So anyways, but we're all about that. We definitely want to do that. We have done some of that, but we'll be looking. I completely agree. I mean, this sounds great, but it really sounds better if we can give you a comparison with other governments. And maybe some services we do, we can even compare to cities or townships, and other services are unique to counties. Some might be comparable in Michigan, some might be comparable nationally. We just have to figure out that menu, and we'll look to do that.
Thanks, Al.
Any other questions? Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you, Chair. What can you tell us about the restructuring you're hoping to do within your office? Are you looking to have different departments, or what can you tell us?
I think that where we'll end up is I'm planning to add, there'll be some assignment changes. I'm planning to add a new DCA position. One will be more internally focused on human services and operations, the other more externally focused in a lot of and there'll be overlap, of course. There will be some new positions requested. For example, administrative assistant type positions. We're actually down from where we were 20 years ago, and we're quite a bit more. So I need to make sure we have the capacity and capability to deliver timely services to you and the public. And so I'm really preparing kind of the first step plan, and then we are also at the same time working on the next iteration, the future iteration, kind of the succession plan, and that as well. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, Al. I really appreciate the presentation, and I appreciate that, you know, with the short time that you've been here so far, you've been able to pull together some groups, and I think of the Sustainable Business Park as a great example. You know, asking questions, pulling people together that might have different thoughts and ideas, and you know, working through that collaboration. So thank you so much, and I look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right, our next item on the agenda, we'll let Al make his way back up here so he can read the action request. But it comes from Human Resources, and it's amendment of the Kent County Employees Retirement Plan and Trust, and also termination of the Parks Department Retirement Savings Plan.
Action requested. Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to adopt a resolution to amend the Kent County Employees Retirement Plan and Trust and terminate the Park Department's Retirement Savings Plan. In 2002, the Parks Department became a Kent County department, transitioning from the Road Commission. The county created a Parks Department Retirement Savings Plan, which was a Parks plan, with the same employer contribution schedule as the Road Commission Retirement Plan. known as the Kent County Road and Park Commission M3 Savings Plan and Trust. Parks employees transitioning to county employment chose to participate in the Parks Plan or to enroll in the Kent County Employees Retirement Plan and Trust, known as the pension plan. 3 employees remained who elected the Parks Plan option. It is in the interest of administrative efficiency for the Parks Plan participants to enter one of the county's other retirement plans and to terminate the Parks Plan. Human Resources met with the employees and offered 3 options: remain in the Parks Plan, begin participating in the pension plan, enter the Kent County Deferred Compensation Plan, the 457 plan. Under each option, the employees retain their entire Parks Plan account balance, including all county contributions. 2 employees elected to enter the pension plan, and 1 employee elected to enter the 457B plan. The pension plan amendment allows enrollment of the 2 employees into the pension plan. The Parks Plan amendment adds statutory technical requirements and terminates the Parks Plan. No amendment to the 457B plan is required. The resolution enables the county to make contributions to the 3rd employee's 457B plan account on the same employer contribution schedule as under the Parks Plan. Assistant Corporate Counsel has reviewed the plan amendments as to form.
All right, thank you, Al. Is there a motion on this item? Moved by Commissioner Hennessy and support by Commissioner Ponstein. All right, any questions or comments on this item? Yeah, Commissioner Skaggs.
Thank you. Are these particular workers represented by a collective bargaining unit?
We have Michelle Belgum and from our HR department here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, the 2 who elected to enroll into the pension plan are members of the Teamsters Parks Union.
Okay, and do the Teamsters, were they consulted? Did they have an opinion on this?
We did meet with the Teamsters and the employees involved at the onset of this to talk about what we'd like to accomplish and what that would mean to them and what their options would be. And they were involved throughout. There's probably 2 or 3 different meetings that involved the union.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Bereavy. Welcome. So the thing that caught my eye is the second paragraph. There's a good chance that we'll be changing vendors for the administration of the 457 and the 401K. Who is our current vendor and what is happening to make us think that we need to change?
Our current vendor for the record keeping and investment options under the 457 and the Parks 401K is Nationwide. And we have been with Nationwide since 2005. And while there was a good period of time that things were moving right along well with them, there's been some more recent issues with Nationwide and just the duration of time since our last RFP that we feel it's due diligence and very necessary to take it out to RFP and look at other options.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Burrow.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. I'm assuming that the vesting period into our county pension program does not start over for these individuals. Maybe time served counts. Can you let me know?
Certainly. Yeah, so the way this was presented was that they would start just like a new hire. And the reason for that is that they have accumulated and have received a county benefit for all their years of service up to the point of the enrollment in the new plan. So they would retain all that. They've got assets accumulated, and through the plan termination process, they would have the ability to roll those over to an IRA or into our 457 plan, but they would start in the pension brand new as a new hire, and they would have to accumulate sufficient years of service for a future benefit.
Thank you.
By doing it this way, it keeps it cost neutral. It doesn't add any legacy costs to the pension plan.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions at all? And these employees were able to consult with a financial advisor too about their,
Absolutely. When we met with the employees, We asked them, suggested that they meet with their own, and we provided services, a referral through our employee assistance program.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner LeGrand?
I want to thank you for the opportunity to learn the difference between a 401K and a 457B. That provided some insomnia reading for me. Anyway, thank you.
I get it.
Glad you took the opportunity. Commissioner Hennessy?
I look at the date 2002 when the transfer was made, and I'm just wondering, here we are, 20 years later, what has happened? You know, I know that this has been worked on in the past. I've heard of it over the years. Can you describe to us a little bit more about the 20 years that it's taken to get to this point?
Well, certainly, when the parks came from the road commission, when making that sort of transition, there is a requirement to maintain a level of benefits. And so the parks plan was mirrored, and they were given the opportunity to stay in a plan like they were at the road commission or go into the pension, and everybody received information and ability to make that choice. I can tell you that the two that opted to go into the pension now are kicking themselves for not doing it 20 years ago. But yeah, the plan has evolved. A number of people have retired. The assets in that 401k plan have diminished. There's 3 actively contributing members, and it just doesn't make sense to maintain a legal plan document and record-keeping services and the staff time that goes into both of those.
Yeah, I have to say that this is deja vu all over again for me, because that was one of my projects to effectuate that transfer from the road commission to the county back then, so,
So that was a little while ago.
a little while ago, yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, thank you, Michelle. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner Miscellaneous? All right,
Oh, see, go on, Melissa.
Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on some of Commissioner Skagg's questions about the Mental Health Crisis Center. And really, one of the great things about this is that it's going to, sorry, I'm speaking with my Network 180 board member hat on now, but being able to widen how people, that there's no wrong door now, then you can get in, because private insurance, we have not had as wide an intake procedure and as easy an intake procedure. So besides just the law enforcement or the getting people out of the ER, it's going to just be able to intake a whole lot more people. So it is incredibly exciting.
Thank you. Any other Commissioner Miscellaneous? I have just a couple items. Tomorrow evening, we have our State of the County address at Frederick Meyer Gardens, and I hope you all are planning to attend. It should be a good evening, and being able to connect and network with others in the community too, but also, listening to where the county's at these days, which we all kind of know, but it's just good to have that information out in the public. Another item too is we'll be doing some more interviews for boards, commissions, and committees. We've had a couple midterm appointments, so I will work with a few of the commissioners to get that sorted out. I'll be in touch once I get those applications and stuff. And there's still a few committees that are open, so take a look. I think on the county social media site, on Facebook, I know that they've been sharing information about the openings, and feel free to share that with all of your constituents. So if there's no other Commissioner Miscellaneous, we'll call this meeting adjourned. And our next meeting date will be Monday, May 10 at 8:30 a.m. Thanks.